Let me ask you something uncomfortable. When did equality start meaning you handle it? When did modern relationships turn into a system where one person carries the weight and the other carries the ideology? I supported her ambition. I respected her independence. I believed in partnership. But somewhere between, we're equals. And I'm exhausted. I became the default adult. I paid the bills. I maintained the house. I planned the groceries. I cooked the meals. And when I asked for balance, I was told I was attacking feminism. So let's be honest. If cleaning is oppression when she does it, what is it when I do it? If earning more is masculinity, but sharing chores is optional, what exactly are we calling equality? This isn't about dishes. It's about invisible labor, selective standards, modern freedom with traditional expectations. And the moment I stopped carrying us, everything changed. Let's say it out loud. Modern relationships don't fail because of cheating. They don't fail because of money. They fail because of silent imbalance. Because one person slowly becomes the provider of everything. Money, stability, structure, emotional labor. While the other becomes the protected one. This is not a story about feminism. This is a story about selective equality. I was with her for a year and a half. We lived together for 6 months. She was ambitious, independent, smart. She talked about equality often, about not being trapped in outdated roles, about never becoming someone's domestic servant. I respected that. I'm not the guy who expects a woman to cook and clean. I can cook. I can clean. I can run a household without asking where the sponge is. When we moved in together, we agreed. We split responsibilities depending on who's overwhelmed. That's how adults operate. At first, it worked. If she had a hard week, I covered everything. If I was drained, she stepped in. But slowly, something changed. Her exhaustion became constant. Her need to rest became non-negotiable. Her freedom became priority number one. And somehow, the apartment never stopped needing maintenance. I come home from work, look at the sink, the laundry, the trash, and feel this quiet pressure. Not anger, responsibility. So I'd cook. For both of us. On weekends, I started meal prepping so weekday dinners would take 20 to 30 minutes max. I organized grocery shopping. I cleaned the bathroom. I vacuumed. I handled the utilities. We lived in my apartment, and I covered all housing expenses. Not because I wanted applause, because someone had to. Saturday became the clearest pattern. Saturday was supposed to be our reset day. Deep cleaning, groceries, organization. Instead, she'd leave. Meeting friends, visiting parents, just going out. And I'd stand there alone with a mop in my hand, realizing something uncomfortable. This didn't feel like partnership. This felt like I was the default adult. When I tried to talk about it calmly, the answer was almost scripted. I'm exhausted. It doesn't have to be this clean. I don't want to work a second shift at home. I'm a feminist. I won't be a housewife. Second shift. That phrase echoed in my head. Because I work full-time too. If cleaning after work is a second shift for her, what is it for me? A hobby? A masculine obligation? Equality suddenly had fine print. So I proposed a schedule. Spread chores throughout the week so weekends aren't heavy. She agreed. Followed it for a few days. Then stopped completely. I tried a different solution. If your job is burning you out this much, maybe adjust something? Reduce stress. She accused me of trying to financially limit her, of wanting control. So I flipped it. What if I go remote? Earn a bit less, but take full responsibility at home? You focus on career growth. Her response changed everything. I don't want a broke house husband. I want a man who achieves. A strong man. Read that again. Housework is oppressive when it's hers. But financial dominance is mandatory when it's mine. Modern freedom. Traditional expectations. That's not equality. That's optimization. And here's what hurt the most. It wasn't the cleaning. It was the invisibility. My fatigue didn't count. My stress wasn't political. My effort was baseline expectation. I started noticing the shift in language. When she works late, she's ambitious. When I work late, it's normal. When she rests, it's self-care. When I rest, it's neglect. And something inside me began to shut down. Resentment doesn't explode at first. It calcifies. One evening, I did something different. Instead of picking up the vacuum, I picked up my jacket. I texted her, "Don't wait for me. I'm going out." I met friends at a bar to watch the Olympic Games. Laughed. Relaxed. There was a storm warning that night. Heavy snow. So I stayed at a friend's place. For the first time in weeks, I didn't feel responsible for maintaining a shared life. The next day, I didn't clean, didn't grocery shop, didn't meal prep. I did nothing. And that's when the experiment started. Not revenge. Observation. If I stop compensating for imbalance, what happens? Does partnership activate? Or does chaos reveal the truth? Because here's something nobody says out loud. If a relationship only works because one person overperforms, it doesn't work. It's subsidized. And I was tired of subsidizing adulthood. The first few days felt strange. The apartment didn't collapse instantly. It just shifted. The trash stayed a little longer. The dishes waited. The laundry piled up quietly. And for the first time, I didn't rush to fix it. I watched. Not her. The dynamic. February 14th came in the middle of that week. I had already bought her a gift. Thoughtful. Personal. Something that showed I pay attention. I invited her out. Booked a table. Made it easy. And I waited to see what she would do. Not because I needed something expensive. Because I wanted effort. Partnership isn't measured in money. It's measured in initiative. She didn't plan anything. She thanked me. She enjoyed the dinner. She posted a story. Hearts. A caption about love. But there was no mirrored energy. No sense of, I want to make you feel seen too. And that's when something became clear. In our relationship, I was the engine. She was the passenger. The next week, I stopped cooking for both of us. If I was hungry, I ate outside. If she was hungry, she figured it out. I didn't argue. I didn't accuse. I didn't announce a protest. I just stopped compensating. On Wednesday evening, she finally said it. Why is the house messy? I looked at her calmly. I've been tired. Silence. That silence was heavy. Not because of anger. Because of realization. For months, her exhaustion justified everything. Mine was the first time it disrupted comfort. That's when the tension started building. She cleaned a little that night. Loudly. Aggressively. As if proving a point. But it wasn't partnership. It was irritation. And I realized something uncomfortable. She wasn't used to shared responsibility. She was used to me absorbing it. That weekend, instead of deep cleaning, I went to visit my parents. I hadn't seen them in a while because I was busy maintaining stability. When I came back, the apartment wasn't destroyed. It just wasn't maintained. And neither were we. Conversations became shorter, colder. Then came the confrontation. You've changed, she said. I nodded. I stopped overfunctioning. She didn't like that word. Overfunctioning. Because that's exactly what I had been doing. Covering gaps. Preventing friction. Maintaining standards alone. And here's the brutal truth about overfunctioning. The more one partner overperforms, the less the other is required to grow. I asked her directly, do you believe we should share responsibilities equally? Yes. Financially too? Yes. Domestically too? Pause. It's not the same. That was the moment. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just clarity. Equality was philosophical. But comfort was practical. She wanted a man who earns more. A man who maintains structure. A man who keeps the house functional. A man who doesn't complain. A man who leads. But she didn't want the invisible labor that comes with shared adulthood. And I had to face something even harder. It wasn't that she was evil. It's that our definitions of partnership were incompatible. She saw domestic work as oppression. I saw shared effort as respect. She saw my provision as baseline masculinity. I saw her withdrawal as selective empowerment. And when values don't align, love slowly suffocates. The final week of my experiment was quiet. No big fights. No screaming. Just distance. And distance is more dangerous than conflict. One evening, sitting alone in the living room, I realized something I hadn't allowed myself to admit. I wasn't angry. I was disappointed. Not in her ambition. Not in feminism. In the imbalance. Because here's the uncomfortable truth that rarely trends on social media. Real equality is boring. It's taking out trash when you don't want to. It's cleaning the bathroom even when you're tired. It's planning something for your partner without being reminded. It's contributing even when nobody applauds. It's not glamorous. It's not political. It's practical. And if one person consistently opts out of practicality, the other eventually opts out emotionally. The breaking point didn't come with shouting. It came with a sentence in my head. I don't want to feel like the only adult here. And that's when I understood something viral, something uncomfortable, something that will trigger people in the comments. You cannot demand modern freedom while outsourcing responsibility. You cannot reject traditional roles, but keep traditional expectations. You cannot call it equality if it only protects you. Because equality isn't what you post. It's what you do on a random Tuesday, when nobody is filming, and the trash is still full. In the end, this wasn't about dishes. It was about reciprocity. And here's the final truth. If a relationship only works because one person constantly compensates, it doesn't work. It survives. And survival is not partnership. Sometimes the most masculine thing you can do is stop proving your value through exhaustion. Sometimes the strongest boundary is stepping back. And sometimes losing someone is better than losing respect for yourself. In the end, nothing exploded. No dramatic screaming. No slammed doors. No viral breakup scene. Just clarity. And clarity is quieter than anger. I realized something simple and brutal. I wasn't upset about the chores. I was upset about the pattern. Because patterns don't lie. If I stop, everything stops. If she stops, nothing changes. That's not partnership. That's dependency disguised as equality. And here's the part no one wants to say out loud. Love doesn't survive on ideology. It survives on contribution. Real equality is not a speech. It's not a bio in your profile. It's not a political position. It's washing the dishes when you're tired. It's planning something for your partner without being asked. It's stepping up when no one is keeping score. If one person constantly absorbs the friction of adult life, the other never has to grow. And I refuse to build a future where I am respected for my strength, but used for my stability. So I stopped, not to punish her, not to prove a point, but to protect myself. Because here's the truth. If you have to overperform to keep a relationship alive, you're not in a partnership. You're in maintenance mode. And maintenance mode turns love into obligation. I don't hate feminism. I don't hate strong women. I don't hate ambition. I hate imbalance. You can reject traditional roles. You can demand independence. You can build your career. But you cannot demand modern freedom while outsourcing responsibility. You cannot want a strong man if what you really want is someone who carries everything quietly. Strength is not silent servitude. Strength is boundaries. And sometimes the strongest thing a man can do is walk away from a role he never agreed to play, because being alone is still better than being the only adult in the room. And the moment I stopped carrying us, I finally started carrying myself.